In a world where friends forsake him for his perceived weakness, an ugly dude named Yogiri is a hidden deity, a god concealing his true power. The story begins, a seemingly insignificant child, striding down a corridor strewn with lifeless bodies, bullets whizzing past him. He's on a mission, searching for Asaka, his guardian. As he approaches a room, the door swings open to reveal a woman, gun in hand, holding Asaka captive. Despite Asaka's pleas, the woman silences her. But Yogiri, upon seeing Asaka, can't help but beam with joy. The woman warns him not to move, threatening to end Asaka's life. Asaka winces in pain, and then, in a blink of an eye, something shifts. A wave of energy sweeps the room, and the woman collapses, lifeless. Asaka is bewildered, but Yogiri simply embraces her, smiling and suggesting they head back. But then, the scene shifts. An older Yogiri is jolted awake by his classmate, Tomochika, who's in a state of panic. He rubs his eyes, recognizing her as the girl with the peculiar name. He recalls they were on a class trip and wonders if they've arrived at their destination. But Tomochika insists they haven't, and urges him to look around. Yogiri scans the bus, his eyes falling on his classmates, lifeless in pools of their own blood. He spots something strange piercing one of them, and decides to investigate. Peering outside the bus, he notices something coiling around it. Could it be a giant snake or a lizard? To test his theory, he hurls a random microphone at the object. It turns out the dead can't fight back, but the object begins to stir. Yogiri's attention returns to the outside, and he realizes that the object is a massive wyvern. The beast takes flight, preparing to unleash a fiery breath on the bus. Suddenly, Tomochika clings to him in despair, a moment that triggers a shift in Yogiri's mindset. The feeling of a girl clinging to him sparks a change. He focuses his mind, opens a door, and utters a single word: die. In the next moment, the wyvern collapses. Yogiri assures Tomochika they're safe, but she's puzzled and demands an explanation. Yogiri pulls out his console, urging her to calm down and recount what happened. He starts playing a video game, much to her annoyance. After watching him play for a bit, she criticizes his gaming skills and offers some tips. But she quickly remembers their predicament and insists it's not the time for games. Once she confirms she's feeling better, he asks her to explain how they ended up in this situation. Tomochika reveals that their bus was driving through the night, but after passing through a tunnel, they found themselves in a strange field. Everyone was confused, and even her friend couldn't provide an answer. Suddenly, a girl named Sion, the granddaughter of the great sage, boarded the bus. Their teacher stood up to protest, but Sion silenced him permanently. She then casually explained that her power level was 530,000, and that she had summoned them all because she was looking for sage candidates. In a world governed by sages, Sion reveals that their numbers are dwindling. To replenish their ranks, she has summoned them, casting a spell that causes several students to glow. Tomochika, however, is among the few who remain unaffected. Sion explains that she has installed a battle song version in the glowing students, and they should see logos on their screens. Tomochika is puzzled and asks her friend if she sees anything. Her friend gestures in the air, describing colorful letters spelling out status. Sion further explains that this system, known as the gift, can only be used in this world. Everyone must use it to strive to become sages within the next month. Tomochika raises her hand to ask why she didn't glow or see any logos. Sion simply replies that some people are not compatible and that she should deal with it. Tomochika is taken aback, especially when Sion reveals that if no one becomes a sage, they will all become livestock to produce magical energy. Sion then announces that their first mission will start in an hour, and advises them to avoid getting wiped out right away. She then departs, leaving Tomochika feeling bewildered. Her friend mentions that there are some details regarding their mission on their screens. It turns out their task is to escape from an incoming dragon. Yazaki, one of the guys, tries to act like a leader. He insists that they should try to clear the mission, and that they all need to work together. For that reason, they need to discuss their strengths and weaknesses. Everyone writes their names and stats on pieces of paper, but Tomochika realizes that there are 4 students, including her, who didn't glow. One of them is Yogiri, who's sleeping. They all grumble about his carefree nap time until they notice everyone else stepping outside the bus. They also decide to go outside, but Tomochika stays behind to wake Yogiri up. The other girl tries to convince her to leave him behind, but they suddenly overhear two guys arguing. It turns out Yazaki won't let the four join them. The delinquent complains, but Yazaki silences him, explaining that this is the power of a gift. He's only level 1, but he's way stronger than those four ordinary humans. The other girl tells Yazaki that if he's strong, they should protect them. However, Yazaki replies that this is part of the plan. Everyone is confused, and he tells the girl by his side to use her gift. She activates her charm ability, which doesn't affect anyone. Yazaki walks away, explaining that this skill makes her popular with monsters. In short, there's a nearby dragon, and by using that skill on them, the dragon will attack them, giving the rest a chance to escape. This was a decision that everyone with gifts made. Tomochika can't believe that her friend would betray her, but Yazaki reveals she actually did. But Tomochika knows that Yazaki must have forced her. Yazaki then steps outside and locks the door. They try to open it for a while, when they suddenly hear a noise outside. Tomochika thinks it's a dragon, when suddenly something crashes against the bus. The guy freaks out, and Tomochika notices the other taken out. After explaining the whole thing, Yogiri realizes there's a big problem. He has no way to recharge his console in this world. He then gets up, mentioning that according to Yazaki, it's now safe outside. Tomochika, puzzled by the sudden demise of the dragon, questions Yogiri. He nonchalantly shrugs it off, attributing it to the dragon's unfortunate crash. They decide to make their exit through a window, stepping into a world with options: hills, city, or forest. Suddenly, Tomochika spots something in the sky. Upon closer inspection, she realizes it's 3 of their classmates. Yogiri, impressed by her keen eyesight, contemplates whether he should eliminate them. Tomochika is taken aback by his casual talk of killing, but Yogiri justifies it by pointing out their abandonment. As the guys approach, they notice Tomochika is still alive. One of them grumbles about his foiled plans of turning her into a zombie for his amusement. Their conversation, filled with disturbing plans and complaints, makes it clear to Tomochika that they can't be friends. Suddenly, a fireball whizzes past Tomochika, barely missing her. The guys continue their chatter, discussing their magical abilities and roles: a healer, a hero, and a necromancer. The fireball caster beckons Tomochika to join them without resistance. She's confused, but it soon becomes clear that they have unsavory intentions towards her. Yogiri admires her courage in such a situation. The necromancer complains about her closeness with Yogiri, but Yogiri dismisses it, saying he can handle the conversation. He points at the fireball guy and orders him to die. The others laugh it off until they see the guy collapse. Yogiri warns them not to move, but the necromancer attempts to check on his friend. Yogiri orders him to die as well. Now only Fatso remains. Yogiri warns him that if he moves, he will die. He promises to explain his ability and instructs Fatso to confirm the others' deaths. Fatso complies, using his healing ability, but to no avail. In a world where dragons exist and magic is real, Tomochika discovers a shocking truth. The Dragon Slayer is none other than Yogiri, a fact he's been keeping under wraps. Tomochika's anger flares at his secrecy, but Yogiri has his reasons. Stating he only retaliated, he then reveals his unique ability, Instant Death, which allows him to kill any target just by thinking about it. Fatso finds this hard to believe, but Yogiri is more than willing to prove it. In a surprising turn of events, Fatso, having accepted defeat, but his true intention is to launch a magical attack. However, Yogiri, with a calm demeanor, instructs him to halt. Fatso is left bewildered as Yogiri reveals his unique ability to sense murderous intent. To add to the intrigue, Yogiri can merge this ability with others, eliminating the need to identify his potential assailant. Overwhelmed, Fatso surrenders, tears streaming down his face. Yogiri questions their premature arrogance given their newly acquired skills. Fatso discloses a shocking truth. This is their second visit to this world. They had previously triumphed over the demon world and returned to their own. Yogiri turns to Tomochika, inquiring about any missed classes, to which she confirms there were none. Fatso further reveals that upon their return home, only a few hours had elapsed. In a thrilling turn of events, Yogiri is on the brink of ending Fatso's life. However, Fatso pleads for Tomochika's intervention. Tomochika, owing her life to Yogiri, coldly suggests that Fatso should face his fate. Fatso, desperate to survive, reveals a mysterious item, a slave collar. He promises that whoever places the collar on him will become his master. In a bizarre twist, Fatso places the collar on himself and begins to approach Tomochika with a perverse grin. Tomochika, however, commands him to halt, and the collar begins to strangle him. She inquires if there's a way to renounce her newfound mastery over Fatso. He complies, revealing that the ownership can be transferred. Without hesitation, she transfers it to Yogiri. Yogiri, showing mercy, spares Fatso's life. In a surprising twist, Fatso is instructed to venture into a monster-infested forest and await further orders. Before his departure, he's commanded to abandon all his possessions and keep the existence of Yogiri and Tomochika a secret. Fatso, albeit reluctantly, complies. Tomochika, concerned, questions the morality of their decision. Yogiri, however, assures her that it's for the best, given Fatso's inevitable betrayal. Tomochika's cheeks flush a rosy hue as she stammers, unable to find the right words. She and Yogiri had never really had a deep conversation before. She gathers her courage and asks him, "Why did you choose to protect me?" Yogiri, caught off guard, initially shrugs it off, claiming ignorance. But Tomochika persists, and finally, he confesses. It was all because of her compelling, intriguing, and irresistibly juicy storyline. This revelation sends a wave of heat to her cheeks, and she huffs in annoyance, grumbling about how all men are just the same. Meanwhile, Sion is lounging in bed, lost in her own world. Suddenly, a man barges in, reporting the completion of their first mission. It wasn't without cost. 4 had fallen, 2 of them without any special abilities, and 2 high-ranking S ranks. The S ranks, he said, had perished instantly, without any warning. He suspects it was the work of an instant death magic spell. Sion, however, dismisses this theory and returns to her repose. Yogiri and Tomochika finally arrived. Tomochika was brimming with joy, while Yogiri was fighting off sleep. They saw the city guards moving to shut the gate and sprinted towards them, but motioned for them to stay put while they fetched their leader. The leader showed up, clearly irked by the situation. He questioned if they had lost their way from the group that had come earlier. Tomochika was thrilled to find out he could converse in Japanese. Yogiri, on the other hand, got straight to the point and asked if they could be allowed in to reunite with their group. The leader, visibly annoyed, pointed out that entry usually came at a price. Yogiri brought up their group's plan to head to the capital and asked for directions. The leader, who was not exactly a sight for sore eyes, made it clear that he wouldn't stand in their way nor lend a helping hand. Yogiri, despite his lack of cooperation, expressed her gratitude and decided it was time to leave. But then, the leader, who was becoming more and more unpleasant, suggested that Tomochika should stay the night at his place. She promptly declined his offer and pulling Yogiri along. Once they entered the city, Yogiri questioned why she had run. She confessed that she was scared that Yogiri was about to harm him. This left Yogiri puzzled, and he asked if she thought he was a dangerous criminal. She responded with surprise that he hadn't realized it himself. As they looked around, Tomochika was thrilled. The city was like something out of a fantasy novel, teeming with beast folk. A cat girl named Mireyu approached them, asking if they were sage candidates. She could tell they seemed lost, as if it was their first time in the city. Mireyu explained that she wanted to assist them, free of charge. This left the two of them puzzled, and they asked why she would do that. Mireyu said she wanted to befriend the sage candidate boys for 2 reasons. They had a promising future, and they were easy to charm. But Yogiri was curious about her opinion on their situation. She said she wanted to explore the city before it got dark, as that was her goal. Yogiri asked Mireyu to show them around. After Tomochika's shopping spree, she admitted that she never expected to wear this new type of clothes so casually. However, she was so oblivious that she didn't notice that they were currently surrounded. Yogiri revealed that he had anticipated this situation. Tomochika apologized, saying that she wanted to follow Mireyu because she seemed kind. The bandits began their threats, but Yogiri shielded the girl, asking if they were after money. The outlaws make it clear that while they're interested in money, their primary objective is to target sage candidates who lack any special abilities. However, sage candidates without gifts are the perfect victims to rough up and exploit. Tomochika begins to panic, but Sigma Yogiri remains calm. He acknowledges their terms but requests permission to eliminate the bandits. The bandits scoff at this, asserting that they will be the ones doing the killing. Tomochika attempts to alert Mireyu, insisting that despite his unassuming appearance, Yogiri is formidable. However, this naive cat girl dismisses it as a bluff. Yet, Yogiri, with his verbal death note, commands everyone behind him to perish. In an instant, they all fall. The remaining bandits are left bewildered, but Yogiri proceeds with his mission, instructing the leopard man to half die. The man collapses, and Yogiri realizes that being half dead isn't feasible. He decides to experiment and targets the chicken man's ankle, commanding it to die. He then targets an unsightly man's shoulder, commanding it to die. The man meets his end. Yogiri reveals that he attempted to be lenient and commands a dogman's eyeballs to die. The man is rendered blind, leaving everyone in shock. Yogiri's relentless assault prompts Mireyu to question his identity. Yogiri remains silent, contemplating the inefficiency of killing individual body parts. Mireyu attempts to garner sympathy, pleading for help as her younger siblings await her return home. However, Yogiri dismisses this, stating that it doesn't justify theft and murder. The final bandit questions if Yogiri isn't without talent, to which Yogiri responds by pointing at them and commanding them to die. Surprisingly, it doesn't work. They remain alive and attempt to flee. Tomochika questions if Yogiri is letting them escape, but Yogiri clarifies that he merely postponed his command. The two bandits manage to conceal themselves, but the death command is activated. Yogiri informs Tomochika that it's time to depart, but they're halted by guards seeking information about the situation. Yogiri fabricates a story, claiming they stumbled upon the dead bodies. One guard disputes this, revealing she witnessed everyone drop suddenly as they were preparing to attack the duo. This infuriates Tomochika, as it implies the guards were observing but didn't intervene. The guard explains their intention was to eliminate the bandit's supporter as well. Yogiri comprehends that the guards intended to allow them to be sold, then trace the buyers. However, one guard uses his appraisal skill and discovers that neither Yogiri nor Tomochika possess gifts. The revelation shocks the girl, but it also means they can't harm the duo due to their lack of powers. One guard apologizes for his captain's rudeness, comparing her to a typical Karen, but Yogiri is unfazed. He inquires if the guard knows of a place where they could spend the night. They're escorted to a grand mansion, which astonishes Tomochika, who mistakes it for a castle. Yogiri asks if she's comfortable sharing a room with him to save money, but she's hesitant. He then decides to request adjacent rooms. Upon entering her spacious room, Tomochika is filled with joy. However, she can't help but question Yogiri's motives when he suggested they share a room. But she quickly recalls that his primary interest lies in her watermelons. Suddenly, she spots a spirit floating in the air. It bears a striking resemblance to her older sister, prompting her to inquire about its origins. The spirit clarifies that they are distinct entities and introduces herself as Mokomoko. Tomochika is puzzled by this revelation, and the spirit explains that she manifested to assist her during this crisis. Tomochika questions why the spirit chose to appear now rather than earlier. The spirit confesses that she feared Yogiri might obliterate her. Tomochika is taken aback by the realization that Yogiri's ability affects spirits. The spirit implores Tomochika to discuss her existence with Yogiri to ensure her safety. Tomochika agrees and inquires about the spirit's purpose for being here. In summary, the spirit discloses that she can shield Tomochika from all harm, except physical attacks. She also reveals the reason behind Tomochika's lack of a gift. It's because the spirit has been protecting her. This revelation angers Tomochika, prompting her to demand an explanation. The spirit admits that it was a dangerous situation. She further explains that while gifts have their benefits, they also enable Sion to manipulate her life. Tomochika and 3 others were also safeguarded by spirits, but her ancestor is unaware of this. Nevertheless, the spirit is elated to finally have a successor for her archery school. Tomochika dismisses her, expressing her desire to return to her world and her current reliance on Yogiri. The spirit is thrilled, stating that this is why she must teach her true martial arts. The following morning, Yogiri notices Tomochika's fatigue. She admits that it's due to recent events and asks if they will reunite with the others. Yogiri explains that he met Celestina, a staff member at the hotel, who helped locate the others, prepared language translation, and arranged for some concealment items. Moreover, Celestina created a device that allows him to charge his console. Celestina provides them with tickets to exit the city, and Yogiri requests her to safeguard all his belongings. They later embark on a train journey, with Tomochika's ancestor still fearful of Yogiri. Tomochika inquires about her ancestor, but he admits that he only became aware of her when she mentioned it. She then joins him and wonders if they'll be able to reconnect with their peers. Yogiri responds, stating that according to Celestina, their companions should be scattered throughout the primeval forest for training. Suddenly, he turns towards her and shoves her down. An enormous explosion rips the ceiling apart, leaving her bewildered. Meanwhile, back in the previous city, the guards are attempting to question a dog that was blinded by Yogiri. The dog remains silent, and they explain that healing magic is ineffective. A wise woman named Lane finds this intriguing. She removes one of the dog's eyes and uses her healing magic to rebuild it completely. However, the dog remains blind. Intrigued, she reveals her true identity as a vampire. She bites the man, hoping to enhance his abilities and heal him through transformation, but he remains blind. Suddenly, the building begins to tremble, and a man known as the Hero materializes. He launches several attacks at Lane, but she merely complains about her dress. The guards are puzzled because she appears unharmed, but in reality, she has healed instantly. The Hero discards his sword, and Lane questions why he is attacking her instead of confronting the Demon Lord. The Hero labels her a tyrant and readies himself for an attack. The building is obliterated in a massive explosion, and he is overjoyed, believing he has finally succeeded in assassinating the sage for Ariel. However, Lane survives and questions if Ariel is his sweetheart. The Hero is stunned, unable to fathom how Lane evaded the attack. Lane clarifies that she didn't dodge because she is immortal. The Hero is perplexed as his attack should have annihilated her, but she merely wishes that were feasible. Eventually, the Hero pleads for his own death, but she casually hurls him off the building. Meanwhile, on the train, an announcement instructs passengers to remain calm as a sage battles an aggressor. Yogiri assumes they are safe since no one is pursuing them, but Tomochika is clueless about the situation. They survey their surroundings and spot a colossal mecha robot, which Yogiri identifies as the aggressor. Tomochika uses her exceptional vision to inform him that the sage is levitating. The sage unleashes several attacks on the robot, but their battle is evenly matched. It's quite common for mountains to be destroyed during such fights. Tomochika inquires if Yogiri can also eliminate those, but he questions her reasoning. She argues that they are in their path, but Yogiri counters that it's illogical because he could use the same justification to kill anyone who crosses his path. She attempts to argue that they could have been killed just now, but Yogiri insists they aren't being targeted. She apologizes for her naivety, when suddenly a massive attack is launched in their direction. Fortunately, the robot intercepts the attack. The sage grumbles about the robot's movement and retaliates with a powerful ice spell. The passengers are frozen, but Yogiri manages to shield Tomochika. Tomochika labels the sage as cruel, but he becomes irritated. Yogiri questions why they were attacked, but the sage orders him to kneel and worship him like a dog. He begins to insult Yogiri, but Yogiri retorts and contemplates killing him. The sage collapses onto the floor, and Tomochika asks if he was responsible. He simply responds that he had a valid reason to do so. The robot approaches them, but it clarifies that it has no intention to engage in combat. The robot seeks to negotiate with Yogiri, offering to fulfill any of his desires. Tomochika discerns that the robot fears Yogiri. However, Yogiri inquires if there's a method to return to their world. The robot indicates that it knows a way to return to its own world, not theirs. Yogiri questions if the robot can transport them there, but the robot declines, stating that its entire existence is not in this world. Moreover, the robot refuses to bring someone as perilous as Yogiri to its world. It then elucidates that this world is one of the lowest levels, and ascending requires a substantial amount of energy and the correct coordinates. Yogiri then requests the robot to advise him on how to locate the energy and coordinates to return to his world. Later that day, the guards discover the sage that was vanquished by Yogiri. Sion also learns about them while conversing with Lane and finds it intriguing that they managed to slay a sage. Lane is fascinated by Yogiri's instant death ability, but Sion discloses that the sage is supposed to have resistance to instant death. Sion then departs, and Lane instructs her subordinate to head to Hanabusa City and investigate Yogiri and Tomochika. Meanwhile, the duo rests for the night in the woods, where Tomochika's ancestors revealed that she gave a katana made of her underwear. Thanks for watching, please subscribe, and see you on the next episode. Love you guys.